Two games, two championship favorites. What an afternoon of hoops we have as we get our first look at the two teams that everyone expects to be battling for the Larry O'Brien Trophy come June. Happy Easter, everybody, and welcome to NBA Countdown. Alongside Udonis Haslem, Kendrick Perkins, and the Magenta Master, Stephen A. Smith. I'm Malika Andrews. Stephen A., I have a yes or no question for you. Will one of the teams that we're watching this afternoon be hosting a parade in June?
No.
Ooh.
I got Oklahoma City going to the finals, but winning the championship, I got to keep my eyes on the Boston Celtics. If they're healthy, I don't see anybody beating them.
Oh, it's a good thing we have them later on our air as well. So let's check out our money moment brought to you by Chime, because the Thunder, they have been money all season long. And the quest for their first title since moving to OKC, it begins this afternoon. They outscored opponents by nearly 13 points per game. That's the highest points differential in NBA history in a season. And the five teams that are right below them, oh yeah, they all won the title. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the leader of this group, right? Averaging the most points per game in a season in franchise history. Plus, SGA, he led the NBA in 20, 30, 40, and 50-point games all this season. That's pretty incredible when you look at that list back to back to back to back. But the identity of this team, of course, it is defense. They ranked first in defensive efficiency for the entire season. They thrived in forcing turnovers, protecting the paint, and bringing constant pressure. So when you factor all of that in, OKC, they are the betting favorites to win it all. But, Udonis, should they be?
Yes, I mean, statistically they should be, but I'm with Stephen A. on this one. I'm a show me guy, and the the Celtics have shown me. They have shown me over and over, time and time again. They have bounced back, and they continue to play well. So I'm not going to go against the Celtics right now. As long as they're healthy, they're my favorite.
I agree with them, but I will say this. The Thunder going to the NBA Finals. You talk about teams wanting all the smoke. They don't need to be running up that chimney. I'm telling you that straight up. They check all boxes. They have every single thing that you need to be a legit title contender. Now, look, although the Celtics are our favorite, I'm not saying it will be an easy series. If they happen to match up in the NBA Finals, I see it going 7 games, right? This team is that dangerous, especially when you look at the depth of their bench. Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso. Like, they come in and they bring a different dynamic. You already have a starting five in Chet Holmgren and SGA and, you know, Luka Doncic and Isaiah Hartenstein, but this team is the truth.
Well, my only problem with what you were saying is you acted like I didn't start off the show saying that.
I was just finna say that. He came at us like we ain't say the same thing.
I'm going to forgive you because I like that suit. I'm going to forgive you because I like that suit. I like that suit right there.
We said the same thing.
We did, y'all did, but y'all didn't say it with y'all chests out. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone can keep their chest in.
We can stick our chest out and it still wouldn't.
But we all agree that the Celtics are the favorite, right?
Absolutely. But
you did all that with your chest out.
Let's also remember, let's remind the audience as to why OKC is who we think they are. Not just because of SGA, not just because of what they can do offensively with Holmgren, with Jalen Williams and the crew. Defensively, I kept this. I've been watching their hustle stats and their defensive stats all year long. Just for the audience out there, #1 in every category: defensive efficiency, field goal percentage defense, three-point percentage defense, contested three-point shots, steals per game, turnovers forced per game, points off turnovers per game, deflections per game, loose balls recovered per game, and charges drawn per game. They're #1 in every single one of those categories. I mean, damn.
And the one thing wasn't on your computer screen, Hartenstein, who we got from Yo Knicks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, New York Knicks. The most underrated signing, I think, of the
You didn't have to do that.
Probably the biggest knock on the Oklahoma City Thunder is simply that they haven't been there before. Udonis, you said you need to show me, and the Boston Celtics have shown you that. But SGA, he was asked about that this week, what he thinks of teams saying that, you know what, you don't have experience, so we don't fear you. And he said, if we win games, I don't care how much you fear us. None of that matters to me. Your feelings toward us don't matter to me as long as we win. But if they want to win 16, you have to start with just one, and their opponent today is the Memphis Grizzlies.
SGA's doing commercials for Jurassic World. He's very, very comfortable.
Let's get to the Grizzlies side of all of this today. One of the most electric players in the NBA is Ja Morant, but he's been battling through an ankle injury. So let's say hello to our Shams Charania here. Shams, what's the latest on Morant's status here for Game 1?
Malika, Ja Morant will be a go. He will be available to play today in Oklahoma City for Game 1. But remember, he needed 2 pain-killing injections in a 24-hour span in order to play in Friday's clinching play-in tournament game to get that 8th seed. And so from my understanding is the last 24 hours now going into today's game has been about around-the-clock treatment and rehab for what's been described to me as a severe ankle sprain. He's dealing with swelling as well. This is a player, Malika, that's averaged 27 points and 9 assists per game in his playoff career. He's very prolific this time of year.
Right after securing the 8th seed, he told our Scott Van Pelt that he couldn't feel his ankle. That's why he was out there with those pain-killing injections. But Kendrick Perkins, when Ja Morant's at his best, what does he look like?
I mean, he looked like he's the most explosive player in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ranked 4th for his points off the dribble, and we know he's a downhill type of guy, right? We know he loves to attack the paint. He can't be guarded when he's at his best. But Malika, guess what? He's going to have to find something else to do, UD, against this OKC team, because they love searching out those mismatches. There's not any mismatches when it comes down to OKC.
Yeah, the playoffs is all about mismatches, and you look at this team and you talk about Lu Dort, who's a guy who gives up 41.9% on defense against the opponent. You look at Alex Caruso, who could test everything. You look at Casey Wallace, you look at Wiggins. They have length. They have different guys that can pose different threats to Ja Morant. So this is a game where I think Ja Morant's just going to have to figure it out, go with the flow, but also not forget about his others and get other guys involved as the game goes on.
If this is a blowout today, blame the NBA. How in the hell does the Memphis Grizzlies play Friday night? Last game Friday night, and the first game Sunday afternoon. I mean, could you give them a little extra few hours? I mean, that's all I'm trying to say.
See how we're looking at you as players?
What was the problem? What's the problem?
Nobody gives a damn, Stephen A., when you're a player.
And
don't care.
Line it up. I don't care.
And on
drop me off like a Navy SEAL. Well,
you ain't seen any players that care. I'm not saying you acting like no player cares.
As a team, you do not send that message to your team. Oh, we only had a short time to turn it around. No,
I'm not saying that.
All hands on deck. Let's go to work.
And they put themselves in that position.
That's true.
Great point.
That's because of the play-in tournament. You should be Golden State. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a quick
Well,
game.
not to mention the Memphis Grizzlies. We're talking about a team that was second in the Western Conference all the way up through February and even early in March. So this is a team that has had the pieces. They haven't necessarily had the health all around.
Well,
I appreciate what you're showing us about Ja Morant and his ability to really drive to the hoop here. But when you have Lu Dort standing in your way, what problems is that going to pose here?
Lu Dort is compact. He gets over screens. He gets under screens. He gets through screens. He does not die on the pick and roll. A lot of times right now, when you look at this frame, he goes under the dribble handoff. Now, he's in front of Ja because we know Ja is not the greatest shooter. He's a driver first. So now he stays chest in front, which most people struggle to do. They bring the help. Ja tries to make a play at the end, but it ends up being a turnover. Right here, when Ja comes to the side, he usually can ISO and attack anybody. Lu Dort stays chest in front, contests the shot, and makes Ja take a tough shot. This is what he's going to have to do for 48 minutes. Ja is a hell of a talent. He's going to make some of these shots, but over the course of the game, you just continue to wear on him and give him nothing easy.
And I'm gonna tell you this, like of late, they've been using Zach Edey a lot in the ball screens. Lu Dort don't give a damn about that. You know from experience, it's certain guys you don't like setting picks on. He blows up screens. And I just, again, you look at this Thunder defense, they had 5 guys just on the perimeter that could have made all defensive teams.
Absolutely.
And not just forget J-Dub. The way he defends as well, just man-to-man on the ball with his length and his
put the
range.
ball on the floor in this vicinity.
Yes,
all of them
very
are
talented.
Well, the Celtics, or rather the Oklahoma City Thunder have said, we put in the work all year. Now we got to roll the ball out and see what happens. A team that knows what it takes, the Boston Celtics. Their road to go back-to-back, it begins right now. Plus, we have an update on Jaylen Brown after this.
Presented by Chime.
The NBA hasn't had a repeat champion since the Warriors in 2017 and 2018. The Celtics, they are looking to snap that streak as they seek to win the title in consecutive seasons for the first time since the late 1960s for this franchise. Udonis, you won back-to-back titles just over a decade ago. Man, time flies with the Miami Heat here. But you always hear that winning the second one is way more difficult. How challenging is it to repeat?
It is the hardest thing in professional sports you will ever do, is to go back to the championship and actually win it. Everybody has your name, your numbers. Everybody has your jersey up. Everybody, you're not sneaking up on anybody. You're going to get everybody's best effort, even the teams that are in the bottom of the league. When your team comes to town, you're going to get maximum effort from every team every single night. But what I will say about the Celtics is they have the talent, they have the culture, they have the coach, they have the depth.
Yeah.
They can compete every night against anybody and even rest their stars and still beat teams.
I agree. And UD, the first one, you're starving. When you're trying to go get your first championship, you're starving. And the second one, when you're trying to repeat, you wonder if that same hunger is there. It's there with these Boston Celtics. Because of the disrespect that they went through for as champions. Whether it was people saying they had an easy route to the NBA Finals to go on and win a championship because teams that they faced were injured. The disrespect to Jason Tatum, right, throughout the entire world, social media, right, the way he celebrated, he was being disrespected after they won the trophy. When he got down to the Olympics, he was disrespected. And on record, with interviews with Malika, he said that he wanted to be the best player in the league. He wanted to win the MVP. He wanted to be the face of the league. The stage is set. We don't know what Jaylen Brown's status is. We know it's not 100%.
So he's not on the injury report. Jaylen Brown isn't. And Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla said that he looks good. He was able to do everything, no limitations. He's been great physically, mentally, ready, preparing himself. And Jaylen Brown said that, I'm not here to talk about my knee. I'm focused on Orlando. So he is giving it a go.
He is, but again, this is Tatum moment. This is Tatum moment. This is Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis. I'm looking at them and I'm saying those two guys are going to be the best duo in the postseason. Kristaps Porzingis look damn good. I think Tatum on record saying reminds him a lot of Kobe and Paul Gasol, meaning their tandem.
Right.
So that's what I'm leaning towards.
Let's live in the moment for a second from the standpoint that we look at the Boston Celtics. Two of the last 3 NBA finals they've been in. They're the reigning defending NBA champions. They've been in the last 3 conference finals, obviously. They've been in the last 6 of the last 8 conference finals. You know, a first round series, you're hoping that the Orlando Magic make it very, very interesting. Here's how they can make it interesting, okay? When you look at them against the Boston Celtics has 61 victories this year. 54 of them came when the Boston Celtics made just as many or more three-pointers than the opponent. When they don't do that, their record was like 7-14. Why is that relevant? Because even though the Magic can't shoot threes, that ain't what they're known for, they will lock your behind up. Yep. They will get up in you. And in the 3 meetings against Boston this year, all right, where they won a couple of them, they held the Boston Celtics to 11.5 less attempts than their average. So they get up in you and they deny you the opportunity to shoot. If they can do that against the Boston Celtics, and somebody like Banchero has some help, because I love that brother. I think he's a stud. What kind of help are you going to give him?
Right.
They can make it very interesting. That's what we're looking for in the series.
Teams will make threes, to your point, against the Orlando Magic, but you can't take them. They run them off that line. And to your point, the Magic, they've had some success against the Celtics since Paolo Banchero entered the league. Over the last 3 seasons, Orlando is 6-4 versus Boston. Only the Thunder have had a better record against the Celtics during that span. Can the Celtics have an interesting series? Can Orlando make this an interesting series, to Stephen A's point here?
Hell yeah. I'm a defensive guy. I believe if you got defense, you got a chance. I mean, my whole career, I have been told defense wins championships. No, I don't think they'll beat the Celtics, but they have length on the perimeter. They can guard Tatum. They can guard Brown. They allow guys to stay at home and take away some.
And let's be clear about what we're saying here. What we're saying here, we're not expecting this to be a 7-game series or something like that. I'm just talking about the actual games, whether it's a sweep, whether it's a gentleman's sweep of 5 games, whether it goes 6. I'm talking about the games actually being competitive. Orlando's chance is that you got to be elite defensively, because there's nothing about them that says potency when it comes to offense.
Right.
And against Boston, if you don't have an offense, you don't have a snowball's chance.
Perk's face is telling us he wants to just get to the Boston Celtics.
The Orlando Magic are going to get swept.
Oh, hell no.
The Orlando Magic are going to get swept because, yes, we talk about the Celtics offense, but we didn't talk about the other side of the floor. They're still the best defensive team in my eyes in the game, in basketball. Best starting 5 defensively in the NBA. You talk about the Magic having a hard time scoring. They damn sure going to have a hard time scoring in this series. Celtics are sweeping these people, and it starts today.
We should just remind everyone, Banchero was excellent in last year's postseason, averaged 27 points, had 38 and 16 in a Game 7, so he's going to be a player to watch this one.
This ain't Disneyland, Perk. Don't do it like that now. This ain't Disneyland.
Speaking of great defense, though, Kendrick Perkins, the Oklahoma City Thunder, right?
Oh, yeah.
As Stephen A. laid out earlier, they are top of the league, the best of the best in every defensive category, and they're going to try to wrestle with the Grizzly Bear.
Guaranteed not to sweat.
That's when you make your first $10 wager. Download the app today and sign up with the promo code COUNTDOWN to get started. So OKC, they swept the Grizzlies in the regular season 4-0. But Stephen A., it's worth noting that both Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., they only played in one of those games. So I'm asking you who you got in this game.
OKC. Yeah. No chance for Memphis. OKC is rested. They're the better team. It's on their home turf. And obviously, John Moran is still not 100%. Memphis is a damn good team. I think they got a chance to make this a series, but not today.
I'm with you. I'm going with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is anybody picking the Memphis Grizzlies in this game? No? Okay. Then I will ask you this. We're all rolling with, which historically goes a little shaky for us when we all pick the same team. But in this case, it's warranted. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they have rolled through the regular season. But you'd honest, they haven't played a meaningful basketball game. And I mean that in the sense of the fact that the rest of the West has been jockeying for seeding for the last 6 weeks. And OKC's been chilling with their arms crossed. Is there any challenge in flipping that switch?
A lot of the times with some teams, I think that's a challenge. But with this team, I think they just have good habits. I mean, if you look back to last year, this is not just what they did this year. They didn't just catch lightning in the bottle. They had a great defense last year. They had a good offense last year. As a young team, they embody all the right things. They make the right plays. They enjoy each other's success. They get back on defense. They hold each other accountable. So I think this is who the OKC Thunder are. I don't think it really matters that they haven't had meaningful games because their habits are so good.
They're fine. Look, I'm looking at the matchups. I'm looking at Chet Holmgren and Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yes.
And if the Grizzlies have any shot of making this a series, I'm looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. and saying, can you go out there and impose your will? Can you go out there and show us why you were Defensive Player of the Year a few seasons ago? Can you go out there and show us offensively why you're the only All-Star that made the All-Star team this season? I'm waiting for him to have that moment where we can say, hey, man, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a top 10 big in the NBA. I can't say that right now. But I do have faith in Chet Holmgren, and I know what he's capable of doing on both ends of the floor.
That's the tip he's been on when it comes to OKC. Chet Holmgren, right? For me, it's Jalen Williams. I want to see this brother step up. I watched Shai Gilgeous-Alexander do his thing in the playoff last year, okay? And I was looking for help, and it was an APB out for cats because I couldn't find them. I don't want to see that this year. You're the favorite. You were a #1 seed last year. You're the #1 seed now. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe, will win the MVP. I'm looking for Oklahoma City to impose their will and their dominance and to let the rest of the Western Conference know, yeah, all the hype you've been hearing is totally true.
Right.
You're going to have to come through us. That happens when Jalen Williams steps up and shows what he's capable of. He averaged 22 a game this year. It happens when he shows up and reminds everybody, you're going to have to deal with me and Shai, not just Shai.
Averaging career highs across the board here for Jalen Williams. For John Morant, we know he's dealing with that nagging ankle injury. What will tell you, for last game it was the dunk that said, all right, he's feeling just fine. What will tell you that he's okay in this series?
If he comes out, he's aggressive, he gets out in transition, he's making plays early, getting downhill, getting in the paint, whether it be finishing or spraying to other guys. But once he gets in there, you're going to have to see Chet. You're going to have to see Hartenstein. So he's going to have some decision making. Also, looking for Zach Edey. Get on that glass. Get you some extra possessions. You understand that this team has beat you by an average of 15 points per game in the regular season. You're going to need extra possessions.
And Desmond Bane got to step up. He struggled. They have had him in the straitjacket this season when he faced OKC. All of these Grizzlies, they gotta stand up and stand on business today if they trying to make.
One thing we do know, the atmosphere in Oklahoma City, as you can attest to,
is going to be fired up.
Absolutely electric. Dave Pasch, take it away.